In another unfolding of Middle-earth's tapestry, the year 1697 of the Second Age bore witness to a fate diverging from the shadows cast by history. Celebrimbor, the master smith of Eregion, found himself ensnared in Sauron's web of deceit. Yet, in this telling, the doom that befell him did not claim his life. Wounded and driven by the betrayal of Sauron, who had come to him in the guise of Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, Celebrimbor escaped the flames that consumed his realm. He carried with him not only the scars of treachery but also a profound secret, the knowledge of Sauron's designs for the One Ring. Retreating from the ruins of Eregion, Celebrimbor sought refuge in the hidden halls of Khazad-dûm. The dwarves of Durance Line, honoring their ancient friendship with the elves, offered him sanctuary. Here, beneath the vast stone vaults, Celebrimbor nursed his wounds and contemplated the fate of the 3 elven rings, hidden from Sauron's grasp. He realized that his survival had granted him a singular opportunity to counter the Dark Lord's growing might through the very craft that had ensnared him. In the depths of Khazad-dûm, Celebrimbor began to forge a plan as audacious as it was perilous. Drawing upon the lost knowledge of his ancestors and the lingering power of Fëanor's blood that ran through his veins, he envisioned a daring gambit to steal back the One Ring and reshape it in his own image. The task seemed insurmountable, yet the fire of rebellion burned fiercely within him. He reached out to Númenórean exiles and the scattered remnants of the Gwaithai Myrddin, those who would defy Sauron and who still held faith in the craftsman's vision. In the year 1700 of the Second Age, a desperate alliance was forged. Through secret dealings and whispered promises, Celebrimbor gathered a fellowship of the boldest and most cunning. Together, they embarked on a perilous journey to the very heart of darkness, Barad-dûr. Against all odds, they succeeded in their infiltration, and the One Ring was taken from Sauron's very hand. Yet Celebrimbor knew that to wield its power, it must be reforged. Upon an anvil of mithril and adamant, deep within the hidden forges of Khazad-dûm, Celebrimbor set to work. The fires burned with an intensity that mirrored his resolve, and the sound of his hammer echoed through the stone halls like the heartbeat of the mountain. In those secret depths, he severed the ring's connection to Sauron, imbuing it with his own will. A new ring emerged from the flames, not a tool of dominance, but one of defiance, a beacon for the free peoples to rally around. With this new power, Celebrimbor raised a banner of unity among elves, dwarves, and men. The call to arms was heard across Middle-earth, and the free peoples gathered to make a final stand against the Dark Lord. Yet, even as Celebrimbor wielded this power, doubts gnawed at his soul. He pondered whether any could truly master the ring, or if he had merely exchanged one Dark Lord for another. In reforging what should have been destroyed, had he doomed Middle-earth to an eternal struggle for dominion? As the War of the Last Alliance loomed on the horizon, the fate of Arda hung in the balance. No longer would it be decided by Sauron alone. In the midst of these ponderings, Celebrimbor stood in the great hall of Khazad-dûm, surrounded by allies and friends. The air was thick with anticipation and fear, yet hope flickered in their eyes, a hope kindled by the promise of a future free from the shadow of tyranny. In a moment of quiet reflection, Celebrimbor turned to Elrond, his close friend and a leader among the elves. "What do you see, my friend, when you look upon this ring?" he asked, his voice a mix of weariness and resolve. Elrond, with his deep wisdom and foresight, gazed upon the ring, its surface gleaming with an inner light. "I see both peril and promise," he replied. "It is a path fraught with danger, yet also a chance to forge a new destiny for our peoples. But take heed, Celebrimbor, for the power you wield is a double-edged sword." Celebrimbor nodded, the weight of his choices heavy upon him. "I have reforged it not for myself, but for all who would stand against the darkness. Together, we shall face the trials ahead and, with hope as our guide, carve a path to freedom." With these words, the Council of War was convened, and plans were laid for the coming conflict. The forces of the Free Peoples would march against Sauron, led by the Lord of the New Ring. Yet, in the shadows of their hearts, each wondered if victory would truly bring peace, or if the struggle for power would continue, unending, as long as the ring endured. Thus, the stage was set for the final confrontation between light and shadow, a battle that would determine the fate of Middle-earth. As the armies gathered and the drums of war beat ever louder, Celebrimbor stood at the forefront, his heart a beacon of hope and his mind ever vigilant against the darkness within and without. As Celebrimbor stood amidst the vast stone halls of Khazad-dûm, the echoes of his choices reverberated through the ancient caverns. The dwarves of Durance Line, steadfast in their loyalty, had pledged their axes to his cause. Yet, even as the alliance strengthened, the shadow of doubt lingered in Celebrimbor's heart. The ring he had reforged held within it the potential for both salvation and ruin, and the burden of its power weighed heavily upon him. In the days that followed the council, preparations for the impending war intensified. Messengers rode forth from Khazad-dûm, their paths winding through the hidden ways of the misty mountains and beyond, carrying the call to arms to every corner of Middle-earth. Elves from Lindon, led by Gil-galad, and men from the newly established realms of Gondor and Arnor, responded to the summons. The free peoples of Middle-earth began to gather, united under a banner of defiance against the darkening storm. Among the allies that came to Khazad-dûm was a company of Númenórean exiles, led by Elendil the Tall and his sons, Isildur and Anarion. They brought with them tales of their homeland's fall to Sauron's influence, and a burning desire to reclaim their honor. In the great hall, where the flicker of torches cast long shadows upon the stone, Celebrimbor met with Elendil. "Lord Elendil," Celebrimbor greeted, his voice carrying the weight of both respect and urgency. "Your arrival is a beacon of hope in these dark times. Together, we shall forge a path to victory." Elendil, a figure of dignity and resolve, clasped Celebrimbor's forearm in a gesture of camaraderie. "It is for the sake of our children and the future of all free peoples that we stand with you, Celebrimbor. We are at your service, and our swords shall not rest until the shadow is lifted from this world." As the days passed and the armies swelled, Celebrimbor found solace in the company of his closest allies. Among them was Galadriel, whose wisdom and counsel had been an anchor through the tumultuous years. In a moment of quiet reflection, they spoke of the trials that lay ahead. "Celebrimbor," Galadriel said, her voice a soft melody amidst the clamor of preparation, "the ring you have reforged carries with it a power unlike any other. You must remain ever vigilant, for even with the best of intentions, power can corrupt." Celebrimbor nodded, his gaze distant as he pondered the future. "I have reforged it not for conquest, but to protect what we hold dear. Yet, I am not blind to the dangers it poses. We must all remain steadfast in our purpose, lest we fall into the same trap that ensnared Sauron." Galadriel placed a reassuring hand upon his shoulder, her eyes filled with a light that seemed to pierce the shadows. "We stand with you, my friend, and together we shall face whatever comes." As the armies of the free peoples gathered, a sense of unity and purpose began to permeate their ranks. The might of elves, dwarves, and men stood ready to march upon the Dark Lord's stronghold. Yet, amidst their preparations, the specter of doubt continued to haunt Celebrimbor. In the quiet hours of the night, he would often find himself alone, contemplating the ring and the path it had set him upon. One such night, as the moon cast a pale glow upon the stone halls, Celebrimbor found himself in the forge where the new ring had been born. The air was thick with the scent of metal and fire, and the memory of the hammer's rhythm echoed in his mind. It was here that Elrond sought him out, sensing the turmoil within his friend. "Celebrimbor," Elrond began, his voice a gentle balm against the storm of thoughts. "You carry a great burden, yet know this, you are not alone. We all share in this fight, and together we shall see it through." Celebrimbor turned to face Elrond, the weight of his choices reflected in his eyes. "I fear what this ring may become," he confessed, "and what it may make of me. In striving to save Middle-earth, have I merely set the stage for another tyranny?" Elrond placed a reassuring hand upon Celebrimbor's arm. "The future is unwritten, and it is by our deeds that it shall be shaped. Trust in your heart, and in those who stand beside you." We shall face the darkness together, and in doing so, forge a new destiny for Middle-earth." With renewed resolve, Celebrimbor returned to the task at hand, his doubts tempered by the faith of his allies. As the time for battle drew near, the armies of the free peoples stood united, a bastion of light against the encroaching shadow. And so it was that the War of the Last Alliance began, with Celebrimbor at its helm, the new ring a symbol of their defiance. As the forces of light marched towards the Black Land, the fate of Middle-earth hung in the balance. The struggle for dominion, and the hope for peace, lay in the hands of those who dared to challenge the Dark Lord's might. And in the heart of Celebrimbor, the fire of rebellion burned ever brighter, a beacon against the night as the War of the Last Alliance unfolded. A tapestry of valor and sacrifice began to weave itself into the annals of Middle-earth. Celebrimbor, at the heart of this great endeavor, stood as a beacon of hope amidst the gathering storm. The armies of the free peoples, a coalition of elves, dwarves, and men, moved with purpose across the scarred land towards the Black Gate, their resolve steeled by the promise of a new dawn. The journey to the plains of Dagorlad was fraught with peril. Sauron's forces, driven by malice and the dark will of their master, harried the Alliance at every turn. Yet, the unity of the free peoples proved a formidable counter to the Dark Lord's might. Celebrimbor, bearing the Reforged ring, led the vanguard with Elendil and Gil-galad by his side, their presence a rallying point for courage and determination. As they neared the desolate wasteland that lay before the Black Gate, Celebrimbor called for a halt. The army gathered upon a rise overlooking the barren expanse, the shadow of Mount Doom looming in the distance like a harbinger of fate. Here, among the ranks of the assembled, Celebrimbor addressed the gathered host, his voice carrying over the tumult of restless anticipation. "My friends," he began, his words a clarion call that resonated with the hope and fear in every heart. "We stand upon the brink of a great and terrible war. The shadow of Sauron threatens to engulf all that we hold dear. Yet we are not alone in this struggle. We fight not only for ourselves but for the countless generations that will follow. We stand as one, united against the darkness." A murmur of agreement swept through the ranks, bolstered by the presence of the new ring, a symbol of their defiance. Elendil, standing beside Celebrimbor, raised his sword high, its blade catching the light of the setting sun. "For Numenor, for our children, and for the future of Middle-earth," he cried, his voice echoing across the plain. The army erupted into a chorus of affirmation, their spirits kindled by the words of their leaders. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the land in a twilight of anticipation, the armies of the free peoples prepared for the coming dawn, when they would at last march upon the Dark Lord's stronghold. Throughout the night, Celebrimbor found himself unable to rest, his thoughts a restless tide of anticipation and doubt. He wandered among the campfires, the faces of those who had placed their trust in him, a constant reminder of the burden he bore. It was in the quiet solitude of the night that he encountered Isildur, the eldest son of Elendil, who stood watch beneath the stars. "You seem troubled, Lord Celebrimbor," Isildur remarked, his keen eyes observing the weight of the Elf Lord's thoughts. Celebrimbor paused, the flickering light of the campfire casting shadows upon his face. "I am ever mindful of the path we tread, Isildur. The ring I bear is both our greatest hope and our greatest peril. I fear what may come, should its power prove too great for any to wield." Isildur nodded, understanding the gravity of Celebrimbor's words. "It is a heavy burden you carry, and yet it is by your hand that we have come this far. We must trust in the strength of our hearts and the righteousness of our cause. Together we shall see this through." The night passed slowly, the air thick with the quiet resolve of those who awaited the dawn. As the first light of day crept across the sky, the army of the free peoples assembled, their ranks a testament to the unity that had brought them to this moment. With Celebrimbor at the helm, they marched towards the Black Gate, the ground trembling beneath their feet. The battle that ensued upon the plains of Dagorlad was fierce and unrelenting. Sauron's legions poured forth from the Black Gate, a tide of malice that crashed against the united front of elves, dwarves, and men. Celebrimbor, wielding the new ring, moved through the fray with a grace and power that seemed to defy the darkness. His presence was a beacon, rallying the forces of light against the encroaching shadow. Throughout the chaos and clamor of battle, Celebrimbor felt the pull of the ring, its power a constant whisper at the edge of his consciousness. Yet, he steeled his will, drawing upon the strength of his allies and the memory of all he had lost. With every strike of his blade, he fought not only for victory but to hold fast against the temptation that lingered within the ring's power. In the midst of the tumult, he found himself face to face with an emissary of Sauron, a creature twisted by the Dark Lord's will. Its eyes gleamed with malice as it lunged at him, a weapon of shadow and flame clutched in its clawed hand. Celebrimbor met its assault with a fierce resolve, the light of the ring flaring as he struck the creature down. As the battle raged on, Celebrimbor caught sight of Elendil and Gil-galad, their presence a bastion of hope amidst the chaos. Together, they pressed forward, their combined might a force that drove the enemy back. Yet, even as they fought, the specter of doubt lingered in Celebrimbor's mind. Would their victory truly bring peace, or had he merely set the stage for another cycle of power and dominion? The day wore on, the sun casting long shadows upon the battlefield. With each passing moment, the armies of the Free Peoples pressed closer to the Black Gate, their resolve unwavering. Celebrimbor, at the forefront, felt the weight of every life that had been lost, every sacrifice made in the name of freedom. And yet, amidst the tumult, a glimmer of hope began to emerge. The forces of Sauron, though vast and terrible, began to falter beneath the relentless assault of the united host. As the sun dipped towards the horizon, casting the land in a golden light, Celebrimbor felt a surge of determination. The end was in sight, and with it, the promise of a new dawn for Middle-earth. As the final confrontation loomed, Celebrimbor stood upon the brink of destiny, the fate of all he held dear resting upon the outcome of this great and terrible war. With the new ring upon his finger, he prepared to face the darkness one last time, his heart a beacon of hope and his mind ever vigilant against the shadows within and without. As the golden light of the setting sun bathed the battlefield, Celebrimbor found himself standing upon the precipice of history. The armies of the Free Peoples surged forward, undeterred by the horrors of war that lay strewn across the plains of Dagorlad. The Black Gate loomed ahead, a monolithic barrier that marked the threshold of Sauron's dominion. It was there, at the heart of shadow, that the fate of Middle-earth would be decided. In the thick of battle, Celebrimbor wielded the Reforged ring with a mastery born of necessity. Each swing of his sword was imbued with the strength of the elves, the resilience of the dwarves, and the courage of men. His presence on the battlefield was both a rallying cry and a beacon, drawing the eyes of friend and foe alike. Yet, within him, a tempest of doubt raged. The ring's power was intoxicating, its whispers seductive. It offered visions of triumph, of a world remade in his image, free from the tyranny of Sauron. But Celebrimbor knew well the peril of such promises. In his heart, he carried the weight of those who had fallen to the allure of power, and he resolved that he would not be counted among them. As he fought, a voice reached him through the din of battle. It was Elrond, his friend and confidant, whose presence was a balm against the storm within. Celebrimbor, Elrond called, his voice carrying over the clash of steel. We must press the advantage. The Dark Lord's forces are faltering. Celebrimbor nodded, his resolve steeled by Elrond's unwavering support. Then let us not waste this moment, he replied, his words a vow as much to himself as to his friend. For the sake of all we hold dear, we shall see this through. With renewed determination, Celebrimbor and Elrond led their forces into the heart of the enemy's ranks. The battle raged on, a symphony of chaos and valor that echoed across the desolate plain. As they fought, the tide of battle began to shift. The forces of Sauron, once a seemingly unassailable tide, wavered against the relentless onslaught of the Free Peoples. In the midst of this struggle, Celebrimbor caught sight of Gil-galad, the High King of the Noldor, locked in combat with one of Sauron's lieutenants. The Elf Lord's presence was a beacon of light amidst the darkness, his skill with a spear unmatched on the battlefield. Celebrimbor moved to aid his king, knowing that their combined strength was crucial to turning the tide. Together, they fought with a synergy born of shared purpose and unyielding resolve. The enemy fell before them, their ranks broken by the might of the elves and the indomitable will of the free peoples. Yet, even as victory seemed within reach, the specter of doubt lingered at the edge of Celebrimbor's mind. Was this truly the end of Sauron's reign, or merely a prelude to another cycle of power and dominion? The Reforged ring, a tool of defiance, held within it the seeds of both salvation and ruin. Celebrimbor knew that to wield it was to walk a razor's edge, and he feared what might come should he falter. As the battle drew to a climax, Celebrimbor found himself face to face with the Dark Lord himself. Sauron, a towering figure of malice and shadow, stood amidst the chaos, his presence a palpable weight upon the battlefield. The sight of the Dark Lord, wreathed in darkness and fury, was a reminder of the stakes they faced. "So, it has come to this," Sauron intoned, his voice a dark melody that reverberated through the air. "You seek to challenge me with the very power I created. A fool's errand, Celebrimbor. You cannot hope to master what is beyond your ken." Celebrimbor met Sauron's gaze, his resolve unyielding. "I do not seek mastery, but freedom," he replied, his words a defiant echo against the darkness. "The ring you forged has been remade, and with it, we shall end your tyranny." A clash of titans ensued, the forces of light and dark colliding in a struggle that shook the very foundations of the earth. Celebrimbor, wielding the Reforged ring, matched the Dark Lord blow for blow. The power of the ring surged through him, a torrent of strength and light that pushed back against the shadow. Yet, even as he fought, the whispers of the ring persisted, a siren's song that threatened to drown out reason and resolve. Celebrimbor knew that to succumb would be to lose everything he held dear. He fought not only against Sauron, but against the darkness within himself. In the midst of this titanic struggle, the armies of the free peoples rallied around their champions. Elendil, Isildur, and Anarion led their forces with courage and determination, their presence a testament to the unity that had brought them to this moment. Together, they pressed the advantage, driving the enemy back towards the Black Gate. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the battlefield in the hues of twilight, Celebrimbor felt a surge of determination. The end was in sight, and with it, the promise of a new dawn for Middle-earth. With one final, decisive blow, he struck at the heart of the darkness, the light of the Reforged ring blazing with the hope of all free peoples. The battlefield fell silent, the echoes of conflict fading into the stillness of dusk. Sauron, the Dark Lord, faltered, his form unraveling as the power of the ring severed his connection to the physical realm. The forces of darkness, bereft of their master, scattered before the light of the united host. Yet, even in victory, the question remained, what would become of the ring and the power it held? Celebrimbor, standing amidst the ruins of battle, contemplated the path that lay ahead. The Reforged ring was a symbol of defiance, but also a reminder of the peril that accompanied power. As the first stars appeared in the night sky, Celebrimbor turned to his allies, the weight of his choices heavy upon him. Together, they had forged a new destiny for Middle-earth, but the road ahead was fraught with uncertainty. In the quiet aftermath of battle, Celebrimbor knew that the struggle for Middle-earth's future was far from over. The victory at Dagorlad was but a chapter in the ongoing tale of light and shadow, and the Reforged ring, a beacon of hope and caution, would guide their path forward. With the fate of Middle-earth hanging in the balance, Celebrimbor and his allies prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, their resolve unbroken and their spirits united in the pursuit of a world free from the shadow of tyranny. The victory at Dagorlad, though hard-won, left Celebrimbor with a profound sense of unease. The battlefield, now quiet beneath the starlit sky, was a stark reminder of the cost of their defiance. The Reforged ring upon his finger was a symbol of their triumph, yet it was also a reminder of the peril that loomed over Middle-earth. As Celebrimbor stood amidst the ruins of war, the weight of his choices pressed heavily upon him. In the days that followed, the leaders of the Free Peoples gathered to assess the outcome of their struggle and to chart a course for the uncertain future. Celebrimbor, Elendil, Gil-galad, and the other commanders met within the shadowed halls of the Black Gate, now a testament to their victory over the Dark Lord. The air was thick with both relief and trepidation, for though Sauron had been vanquished, the legacy of his malice lingered. It was Elrond who spoke first, his voice carrying the wisdom and foresight that had guided them through the darkest of times. "The victory at Dagorlad is but the beginning of our journey," he said, his gaze moving from one leader to another. "Though Sauron has been defeated, the shadow of his influence remains. We must be vigilant, for the power of the ring is a double-edged sword." Celebrimbor nodded, his expression grave. "The ring has been reforged, and its power now serves the cause of freedom. Yet I am mindful of the dangers it poses. We must guard against the very temptation that led Sauron to his downfall." Elendil, ever the stalwart leader, added his voice to the discussion. "The strength of our alliance has brought us victory, but we must not falter in our resolve. The ring's power is great, and its potential for both good and ill cannot be ignored. We must ensure that it remains a tool of defiance, not dominion." As the council continued, the leaders debated the fate of the ring and the steps necessary to secure the future of Middle-earth. Some argued for its destruction, fearing the corrupting influence of its power, while others saw it as a necessary weapon against any remnants of Sauron's forces that might rise again. Galadriel, whose wisdom was revered by all, spoke with a voice that resonated with both hope and caution. "The ring is a beacon of light in a world that has long been shrouded in shadow. Yet we must always be vigilant, for even the brightest light can cast a dark shadow. We must strive to ensure that the power we wield serves the greater good." The discussion stretched on into the night, the leaders weighing the merits of each path before them. Celebrimbor listened intently, his mind a tempest of thoughts and possibilities. He knew that the decisions made in these halls would shape the destiny of Middle-earth for generations to come. As the council drew to a close, a consensus began to form. It was agreed that the reforged ring would be kept under the watchful eye of the Free Peoples, its power to be wielded only in the most dire of circumstances. The Alliance would remain vigilant, ever ready to defend the freedom they had fought so hard to secure. In the quiet aftermath of the council, Celebrimbor found himself alone, contemplating the path that lay ahead. The ring, now a symbol of their defiance, was a constant reminder of the responsibility he bore. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but he took solace in the knowledge that he did not walk it alone. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Celebrimbor looked to the future with a renewed sense of purpose. The victory at Dagorlad was but a chapter in the ongoing tale of Middle-earth, and the reforged ring, a beacon of hope and caution, would guide their path forward. With the fate of Middle-earth hanging in the balance, Celebrimbor and his allies prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, their resolve unbroken and their spirits united in the pursuit of a world free from the shadow of tyranny. The journey was far from over, but with the strength of their alliance and the light of the reforged ring, they would forge a new destiny for Middle-earth, one that would endure through the ages. The dawn that followed the council's conclusion brought with it a renewed sense of purpose and urgency. Celebrimbor, ever mindful of the responsibility he bore, took to the task of ensuring the reforged ring was safeguarded. Its power, though a beacon of hope, was a double-edged sword that could just as easily plunge Middle-earth back into darkness. The leaders of the Free Peoples, bound by their shared victory and the weight of their collective burden, began to set plans into motion for the days to come. In the shadow of the Black Gate, the armies that had once been disparate peoples now stood as one. Their unity, forged in the crucible of war, was a testament to the strength that lay in their diversity. As they prepared to depart the desolate plains of Dagorlad, the leaders convened once more, this time to chart the course of their respective peoples in this new era of vigilance and hope. Elrond, ever the voice of reason and foresight, addressed the gathering with a calm that belied the tumult of recent events. "We have achieved a great victory, Yet our work is far from over. The shadow of Sauron's influence lingers, and we must remain ever vigilant. The Reforged ring, though a tool of defiance, must be wielded with wisdom and restraint. Celebrimbor, standing beside Elrond, nodded in agreement. The ring is a reminder of both our triumph and the peril that lies in power. It shall remain under the watchful eye of the free peoples, a symbol of our unity and resolve. Together, we shall ensure that it serves the cause of freedom, not tyranny. Elendil, his presence a bastion of strength and resolve, spoke with the authority of a leader who had weathered the storm of war. We must not falter in our resolve. The alliances we have forged here must endure, for the shadow is not easily dispelled. We shall stand together, ever ready to defend the freedom we have won. As the leaders continued to deliberate, the bonds of friendship and alliance that had been forged in the fires of conflict were strengthened. The elves of Lindon, led by Gil-galad, pledged their continued support, their wisdom and knowledge a vital asset in the ongoing struggle against the remnants of darkness. The dwarves of Khazad-dûm, steadfast in their loyalty, vowed to guard the hidden halls where the ring had been reforged, their axes ready to defend against any who would seek to claim its power. Among the men of Numenor, Elendil and his sons spoke of rebuilding their shattered realm, drawing upon the strength of their ancestors to forge a new future. Isildur, ever mindful of the lessons learned in battle, swore to uphold the alliance and to guard against the return of darkness. Anarion, with a keen eye for strategy and leadership, pledged his support in the rebuilding efforts, his heart set upon creating a legacy of peace and prosperity. In the days that followed, the armies of the free peoples began their journey home, each leader returning to their respective realms with a renewed sense of purpose. Celebrimbor, carrying the weight of the reforged ring, returned to the hidden halls of Khazad-dûm, where the dwarves welcomed him as a friend and ally. It was here, amidst the stone vaults and flickering torchlight, that he found a measure of peace, his thoughts ever turning to the future of Middle-earth. Yet, even as peace settled over the land, Celebrimbor knew that the shadow of doubt lingered. The ring, though a symbol of their defiance, was a constant reminder of the peril that lay in power. He resolved to remain vigilant, his heart ever mindful of the lessons learned in battle and the sacrifices made in the name of freedom. As the seasons turned and the scars of war began to heal, the leaders of the free peoples remained steadfast in their commitment to unity and vigilance. The reforged ring, a beacon of hope and caution, was a reminder of both the triumph they had achieved and the responsibility they bore. Celebrimbor, ever mindful of the path they had chosen, took solace in the strength of their alliance and the promise of a new dawn for Middle-earth. With the fate of Middle-earth hanging in the balance, the journey was far from over. Celebrimbor and his allies prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, their resolve unbroken and their spirits united in the pursuit of a world free from the shadow of tyranny. The road was long and the future uncertain, but with the light of the reforged ring to guide them, they would forge a new destiny for Middle-earth, one that would endure through the ages. The passage of time in Middle-earth brought with it a semblance of peace, yet beneath the surface, the echoes of the past lingered. Celebrimbor, residing in the hidden halls of Khazad-dûm, found himself at the heart of a burgeoning alliance. The dwarves, ever steadfast, had become more than allies. They were kin, bound by shared struggles and a common cause. The reforged ring, a symbol of defiance and unity, lay upon Celebrimbor's finger, a constant reminder of the path they had chosen and the vigilance required to walk it. The halls of Khazad-dûm echoed with the sounds of industry and life, as the dwarves, under the leadership of Durrance Line, worked to expand their realm and fortify its defenses. Celebrimbor, ever the craftsman, lent his skills to their endeavors, his presence a testament to the enduring friendship between elves and dwarves. Together, they forged weapons and tools, their work a reflection of the unity that had seen them through the darkest of times. Yet, even amidst the clamor of creation, Celebrimbor's mind was ever drawn to the ring and the power it represented. He often found solace in the company of Galadriel, whose wisdom and insight were a balm to his troubled thoughts. In the quiet moments of reflection, They spoke of the future and the challenges that lay ahead. "Celebrimbor," Galadriel said one evening, her voice a soft melody amidst the flicker of torchlight. "The path we walk is fraught with peril, yet it is one we must tread with courage and resolve. The ring you have reforged is a powerful tool, but it is also a burden. We must remain vigilant, lest its power consume us." Celebrimbor nodded, his gaze distant as he pondered her words. "I am ever mindful of the dangers it poses," he replied, his voice tinged with the weight of his responsibilities. "The ring was forged in defiance, not dominion. We must ensure it remains a symbol of unity, not a catalyst for division." Galadriel placed a reassuring hand upon his shoulder, her eyes filled with a light that seemed to pierce the shadows. "Together, we shall face whatever challenges come, and with hope as our guide, we shall forge a new destiny for Middle-earth." As the seasons turned, the leaders of the free peoples remained committed to their alliance, their vigilance unbroken by the passage of time. Elendil and his sons, Isildur and Anarion, worked tirelessly to rebuild their realm, drawing upon the strength of their ancestors to forge a new future. Their efforts were mirrored by Gil-galad and the elves of Lindon, whose wisdom and foresight guided the alliance through the uncertainties of a new age. Throughout Middle-earth, the scars of war began to heal, yet the shadow of doubt lingered. Celebrimbor, ever watchful, knew that the peace they had fought so hard to secure was fragile, and that the forces of darkness, though diminished, were not vanquished entirely. He resolved to remain vigilant, his heart ever mindful of the lessons learned in battle and the sacrifices made in the name of freedom. In the depths of Khazad-dûm, Celebrimbor continued to hone his craft, his work a reflection of the unity that had seen them through the darkest of times. The dwarves, with their unyielding resilience, stood ready to defend the hidden halls against any who would seek to claim the power of the ring. Together, they forged weapons and tools, their work a testament to the strength that lay in their diversity. Yet, even as peace settled over the land, Celebrimbor knew that the journey was far from over. The reforged ring, a beacon of hope and caution, was a constant reminder of the responsibility he bore. He took solace in the strength of their alliance and the promise of a new dawn for Middle-earth, ever mindful of the path they had chosen and the vigilance required to walk it. As the years passed, the leaders of the free peoples remained steadfast in their commitment to unity and vigilance. The reforged ring, a symbol of their defiance, was a reminder of both the triumph they had achieved and the peril that lay in power. Celebrimbor, ever mindful of the path they had chosen, took solace in the strength of their alliance and the promise of a new dawn for Middle-earth. With the fate of Middle-earth hanging in the balance, Celebrimbor and his allies prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, their resolve unbroken and their spirits united in the pursuit of a world free from the shadow of tyranny. The road was long and the future uncertain, but with the light of the reforged ring to guide them, they would forge a new destiny for Middle-earth, one that would endure through the ages and the years that followed the victory at Dagorlad. The free peoples of Middle-earth embarked upon a journey of healing and renewal. The lands, once scarred by the shadow of Sauron, began to flourish anew as the bonds forged in the fires of war held firm. In the depths of Khazad-dûm, Celebrimbor continued to dwell, the reforged ring ever a reminder of both their triumph and the vigilance required to maintain peace. Under the watchful eyes of Durance Line, the dwarves of Khazad-dûm thrived, their halls echoing with the sounds of industry and life. Celebrimbor, whose friendship with the dwarves had deepened through shared trials, lent his skills to their endeavors, crafting wonders that paid homage to the enduring alliance between their peoples. The hidden forges, where the new ring had been born, became a place of both creation and contemplation, a sanctuary from the burdens of leadership. Yet, even in this time of relative peace, Celebrimbor remained ever mindful of the dangers that lurked beyond the horizon. The reforged ring, a beacon of hope, was also a constant reminder of the peril that lay in power. He often found solace in the counsel of Galadriel, whose wisdom and insight were a guiding light through the uncertainties of the age. Celebrimbor, Galadriel said one evening as they walked the stone halls of Khazad-dûm, their footsteps echoing softly, "The path we have chosen is a difficult one, but it is necessary. The ring you have reforged is a powerful tool, yet we must always be wary of its influence." Celebrimbor nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I am ever vigilant," he replied, his voice carrying the weight of his responsibilities. "The ring was forged in defiance, not for dominion. We must ensure that it remains a symbol of unity, not a harbinger of division." Galadriel placed a reassuring hand upon his arm, her gaze steady and filled with a light that seemed to pierce the shadows. "Together, we shall face whatever challenges come, and with hope as our guide, we shall forge a new destiny for Middle-earth." As the seasons turned, the leaders of the Free Peoples remained committed to their alliance, their vigilance unbroken by the passage of time. Elendil and his sons, Isildur and Anarion, worked tirelessly to rebuild their realm, drawing upon the strength of their ancestors to forge a new future. Their efforts were mirrored by Gil-galad and the elves of Lindon, whose wisdom and foresight guided the alliance through the uncertainties of a new age. In the quiet moments of reflection, Celebrimbor often pondered the legacy they were creating. The reforged ring, a symbol of their defiance, was a constant reminder of both the triumph they had achieved and the peril that lay in power. He resolved to remain vigilant, his heart ever mindful of the lessons learned in battle and the sacrifices made in the name of freedom. The years passed, and the peace they had fought so hard to secure held firm. The reforged ring, a beacon of hope and caution, was a reminder of both the triumph they had achieved and the responsibility they bore. Celebrimbor, ever mindful of the path they had chosen, took solace in the strength of their alliance and the promise of a new dawn for Middle-earth. Yet, even as peace settled over the land, Celebrimbor knew that the journey was far from over. The road ahead was fraught with challenges, but with the light of the reforged ring to guide them, they would forge a new destiny for Middle-earth, one that would endure through the ages. As the leaders of the Free Peoples continued to build upon the foundation of their alliance, Celebrimbor found himself reflecting on the legacy they were creating. The reforged ring, a symbol of their defiance, was a constant reminder of both the triumph they had achieved and the peril that lay in power. He resolved to remain vigilant, his heart ever mindful of the lessons learned in battle and the sacrifices made in the name of freedom. In the depths of Khazad-dûm, the hidden halls echoed with the sounds of creation and life, a testament to the enduring friendship between elves and dwarves. Celebrimbor, whose presence had become a symbol of unity and hope, continued to work alongside the dwarves, crafting wonders that paid homage to their shared history and the promise of a brighter future. As the years passed, the leaders of the Free Peoples remained steadfast in their commitment to unity and vigilance. The reforged ring, a beacon of hope and caution, was a reminder of both the triumph they had achieved and the peril that lay in power. Celebrimbor, ever mindful of the path they had chosen, took solace in the strength of their alliance and the promise of a new dawn for Middle-earth. With the fate of Middle-earth hanging in the balance, Celebrimbor and his allies prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, their resolve unbroken and their spirits united in the pursuit of a world free from the shadow of tyranny. The road was long and the future uncertain, but with the light of the reforged ring to guide them, they would forge a new destiny for Middle-earth, one that would endure through the ages.